She never imagined that a single glance could send chills down her spine and set her soul on fire at the same time. The first time their eyes met, something inside her snapped, a mix of fear and desire she couldn't ignore. He was her husband's brother, the man who should have evoked nothing but revulsion. Yet there he was, stirring up a sweet ache and the vulnerability she never knew she possessed. Dark romance and forbidden love had never felt so dangerous, so utterly irresistible. The atmosphere seemed to conspire against her. Dim lights, music pulsing like a heartbeat, and every subtle movement of his echoing like secrets on the verge of being revealed. Forbidden love had never felt so real, so present. Every second was an internal battle between reason and dangerous passion. She knew locking eyes with him would be like stepping onto a sharp blade, but curiosity pulled her forward, a step she didn't even realize she'd taken. The air was thick with tension, carrying the scent of masculine cologne and undeniable danger, all mixed with the electric charge of the unexpected. She could feel the risk in every breath, the invisible love triangle already starting to coil its grip around her. The pain of knowing this was wrong mingled with the adrenaline rush of not being able to resist. Everyone else passing by seemed to fade into the background, except him, the alpha male romance who held her heart and mind captive without even touching her hand. Her mind screamed, "Stop!" but her body reacted on its own, betraying all logic and morality. Stories of impossible love weren't just words in books anymore. They were a pulsating reality within her. She wanted to run, to protect herself, but the forbidden magnetism of his gaze held her frozen. And in that instant, she understood that dangerous passion and secret love could become delicious prisons, impossible to escape. She felt the chill of guilt and the heat of desire simultaneously, as if every cell was screaming that she was making a mistake. But the feeling of vulnerability also brought a strange sense of freedom, an invitation to explore something forbidden and overwhelming. Forbidden romance and love triangle intertwined, forming a knot too complex to unravel. It was the kind of pain that burns yet excites, and she was on the verge of losing herself in that fire. And then, in the very next moment, he smiled. That smile that promised worlds of sin and secrets and the assurance that nothing would ever be the same again. She swallowed hard, her heart leaping, each beat a warning. The line between love and destruction had never been so thin. And in that moment, only one thing was certain. The game had begun, and the worst was yet to come. The club was alive, pulsing with music and lights, each beat an invitation to danger. She walked in and immediately felt the charged atmosphere, as if the air itself was seasoned with dark romance and forbidden secrets. There, amidst the laughter and conversations, he was, her husband's brother, looking at her in a way that made her heart race. Forbidden love became tangible in an instant, and the dangerous passion she swore she'd never feel began to creep in. Impossible love stories were taking shape before her eyes, and the tension between them grew like a silent storm. Every step she took felt choreographed by fate, every glance at calculated risk. The alpha male romance that drew her in like a magnet hid intention she couldn't yet decipher. A love triangle, pain, and vulnerability already pulsed around her, leaving her both thrilled and terrified. She tried to convince herself it was just curiosity, just a fleeting moment. But her body denied it, responding to the forbidden energy that hung in the air. Forbidden romance had never felt so tempting, so dangerous. The loud music, his scent, every detail seemed to conspire, creating a scene where any gesture could trigger an emotional earthquake. Her heart pounded as if each beat was a countdown to an inevitable disaster. She remembered the stories she heard about secret love, passions that burn and destroy, but she never imagined feeling it so closely, so real. The feeling of vulnerability mixed with intense desire left her reeling, trapped in a game she didn't know how to win. He approached subtly, almost imperceptibly, and the world around her fell silent. Every word he spoke carried a promise of pain and pleasure, every gesture a warning that the line between right and wrong was thin. Alpha male romance and forbidden love merged into a dangerous dance she couldn't refuse. With every smile from him, every accidental touch, the tension increased, like sharp glass about to cut. She knew she was taking a risk, but the thrill of the forbidden was irresistible. The environment felt like a minefield, each glance a bomb ready to explode. Impossible love stories became palpable, dangerous passion escalating in waves that threatened to engulf her. Every move her husband and he made seemed choreographed by a cruel fate, and she found herself at the center of a burning love triangle. Her mind screamed at her to run, but her heart and body betrayed every survival instinct. Dark romance, pain, and desire mixed, creating an internal storm impossible to ignore. And then, just when she thought she could control her feelings, he approached again. A single look enough to make everything inside her explode. The tension between them was unbearable, yet electrifying, and every second felt like an eternity. Forbidden love, forbidden romance, love triangle. All the elements were there, ready to turn her life upside down. She still didn't know how far she'd be able to resist, and the worst was yet to come.
Their encounters became inevitable, brief and stolen, but each moment was charged with tension and desire. In the kitchen, their eyes would meet between cups and pans, and her mind battled the growing, dangerous passion. Alpha male romance and forbidden love danced together, sending shivers and causing insecurity. Every gesture from him seemed to test the boundaries of what was forbidden, challenging her resolve. The love triangle, pain, and vulnerability were present with every breath, making it impossible to ignore what was happening. In the garden, the breeze carried whispers only they could hear. Impossible love stories unfolded in silence, while every accidental touch felt like a planned disaster. She recalled secret romances from books, but had never experienced anything so real and intense. The sense of danger mixed with attraction was almost intoxicating, chilling her blood and accelerating her heart. Forbidden romance had never felt so tangible, so irresistible, and she wondered how long she could hold out. In the office, amidst files and documents, the tension transformed into a silent game. Every laugh, every hidden glance was a spark igniting the fire of forbidden passion. He subtly provoked her, exploring vulnerabilities she didn't even know she had. Forbidden love and alpha male romance created a magnetic pull that left her mesmerized. She knew she was walking on a glass shard about to cut herself, and yet she couldn't stop. They met in empty corridors and rooms, each step measured as if in a dangerous dance. The love triangle, pain, and desire mingled, creating waves of emotions impossible to control. Every interaction brought back memories of impossible love stories, reminding her that secret romance had the power to destroy and fascinate. Her body betrayed her mind, and her mind fought not to surrender to the burning fire. Dangerous passion had never felt so close, so real, so uncontrollable. Even in the most ordinary moments, his presence was a silent storm. Every smile, every gesture of care was laden with tension and meaning. Alpha male romance blended with forbidden love, creating an attraction impossible to deny. She tried to stand her ground, but vulnerability consumed her, and each moment of forbidden romance seemed to intensify the risk. Impossible love stories never felt as tangible as they did in that instant. And when she finally thought she could protect herself, he suddenly appeared, like a wave that destroys everything in its path. Every encounter, every touch seemed destined by fate to test limits and challenge the heart. The love triangle, pain, and dangerous passion exploded in every detail, and she realized nothing would be safe anymore. Forbidden romance, forbidden love, and dark romance were not just words. They were a reality that burned, and the worst was yet to come. The moment of truth arrived like an unexpected thunderclap, shattering all barriers. The discovery by her husband exploded like broken glass, leaving her heart frozen and her mind in chaos. Dark romance and forbidden love collided brutally, and every word exchanged seemed to tear reality apart.
Alpha male romance revealed its most relentless side, showing that dangerous passion and vulnerability could be devastating. A love triangle, pain, and fear mingled, creating a scene of tension no one could ignore. The gun in his hand reflected not just physical danger, but the emotional risk of every choice made. Every glance was loaded with accusations and secrets, and she felt the weight of impossible love stories pressing down on her. Forbidden romance had never been so threatening, so intense, so close to the abyss. Secret passion and pain intertwine, reminding her that forbidden love has real consequences. She wanted to flee, but knew that the past and the intensity of secret love wouldn't allow it. The emotional chaos turned the house into a minefield, each room hiding risks and burning memories. Razor's edge manifested in every decision, and every move could explode into disaster. Alpha male romance and dark romance were intertwined threads of danger and desire, and she found herself lost between them. The love triangle reached its peak, showing that impossible love stories are both fascinating and cruel. Every breath carried tension, every touch felt like a test of sanity, and nothing would ever be the same. At the height of the conflict, secrets were revealed with an intensity that seemed to burn the very skin. Forbidden love showed its crueler side, reminding her that dangerous passion and vulnerability do not go hand in hand with safety. Forbidden romance ceased to be mere attraction. It became an emotional battlefield. Every gesture, every word exploded in pain and desire, reminding her that dark romance comes at a price. She realized that secret love could destroy but also define who she really was. The final confrontation brought revelations no one expected, twists that changed everything in an instant. The love triangle, pain, and intensity created shockwaves that coursed through every corner of the house. Alpha male romance showed that control and desire can coexist in unbearable tension. Impossible love stories became a cruel and fascinating reality, and she felt every fiber of her being vibrate with forbidden passion. Dangerous passion had never been so dangerous, yet so irresistible. And just when it seemed the chaos would reach its peak, an unexpected detail opened a sliver of hope. But the worst was yet to come.
The heart still burned as if struck by invisible flames, a reminder that forbidden love and dangerous passion don't ask for permission. Every touch, every glance was a silent invitation into a world ruled by dark romance. The love triangle, pain, and vulnerability created an irresistible tension, leaving the viewer almost breathless with each detail. Forbidden romance was more than just desire. It was pure adrenaline, a constant risk that consumed the mind. Impossible love stories became tangible, and the audience could feel the fire coursing through their veins. She knew she couldn't escape the attraction, that every moment of contact with him heightened the intensity. Alpha male romance wasn't just charm, it was magnetism, danger, and power concentrated in a single look. The viewer connects because they feel the same emotion, the conflict between reason and desire, fear and excitement. Forbidden romance teaches that the heart can be both an ally and a traitor, and this duality is the essence of dark romance. Each step she took in the shared space with her husband's brother was a calculated yet irresistible risk. As the tension built, every word between them felt like a razor's edge, ready to cut, reminding us that forbidden love leaves deep scars. Dangerous passion and impossible love stories showed that the fire within her couldn't be contained. The love triangle created waves of emotion, each gesture carrying unexpected consequences. Forbidden romance was pure adrenaline, and the audience felt every racing heartbeat, every held breath. Her vulnerability became a bridge for viewers to dive into the emotional chaos. And even with the evident danger, she let herself get carried away because dark romance isn't lived halfway. Alpha male romance doesn't just provoke desire, it challenges boundaries, testing courage and morality. The viewer understands that every moment of contact, every unresolved tension is a lesson about risk and emotion. Forbidden romance and the love triangle make the story addictive, as the curiosity about what comes next is insatiable. Impossible love stories show that sometimes pain and passion walk hand in hand. The viewer is invited to feel every beat of fear and desire as if it were their own, realizing that forbidden romance is more than romance. It's an intense emotional experience. Dangerous passion leaves traces of adrenaline, with each choice carrying invisible consequences. The love triangle in forbidden romance become mirrors for real-life dilemmas, allowing for identification and reflection. Alpha male romance adds intensity and urgency, while dark romance maintains the irresistible suspense. Each scene is crafted to provoke an immediate emotional response and deep engagement. And so, as the fire between them burns and boundaries are tested, a question lingers in the air, challenging the viewer to imagine, how far would you go for a passion that promises as much pleasure as destruction? She could no longer escape her husband's brother's magnetism. Every furtive glance was like liquid fire burning inside her, and guilt mixed with desire, creating an impossible knot to undo. He knew exactly how to tease her without being caught, and she wondered if she even wanted to be saved. The entire house seemed a maze of temptation, every hallway hiding dangerous possibilities. But the worst was to come. During dinner, the way he placed his glass on the table near her made her heart race. It was a tiny touch, almost imperceptible, but enough to ignite forbidden thoughts. She remembered the nights when adrenaline burned brighter than any alcohol or cologne, and how her body betrayed her mind. With every smile, he pulled her deeper into the love triangle, making any rational decision impossible. A delicious danger loomed. In the garden, he loomed like a shadow she couldn't avoid. "You shouldn't be here," she said, trying to hide the trembling in her hands. He simply smiled, the moonlight reflecting in his dark eyes, heavy with intent she couldn't resist. The scent of his collar mingled with the perfume of danger, making the moment intoxicating. She knew she was about to cross the line again, and her heart raced with anticipation. Every step he took toward her was a silent invitation to chaos. She found herself imagining what would happen if she gave in, and the thought was simultaneously terrifying and irresistible. The vulnerability she felt was the same one that ignited passion, showing her that forbidden romance respects no rules or logic. It was like walking on the edge of a cliff, feeling the wind of destruction and the heat of excitement. The moral dilemma tightened her chest. He toyed with the line between love and obsession, whispering words that chilled and burned at the same time. Each sentence was a reminder that what they felt was impossible, but neither could deny it. The tension was like broken glass underfoot. Every movement could shatter the life they knew. She wondered how long she could hold out before everything exploded. A mingled cold and fire consumed her mind. When he got too close, reality threatened to crumble. A quick, almost accidental touch sent waves of regret and desire that left her breathless. She knew she was in a dangerous game, but the intensity of the love triangle was too addictive to put away. And even though she knew it could destroy everything, her heart was irrevocably tied to him. And she still didn't know what their next encounter would bring.
That night, the music seemed to merge with her blood, each beat echoing as if it were her own heart. Forbidden love gained rhythm, and each hidden glance became part of a secret symphony. The love triangle pulsed, translated into invisible notes that only they could hear. Dangerous passion mingled with vulnerability, creating a sound no one else would recognize. It was the melody of danger. With each encounter, she noticed how her body responded, as if it were an instrument. Dark romance transformed silences into somber harmonies, and desire into uncontainable chords. Forbidden romance gained intensity, as if the music were written by fate itself. Alpha male romance set the pace, his steady, commanding gaze driving the beat, and the melody never seemed to end. In the hallways, when the two passed each other, the sound seemed to grow louder. It wasn't heard, but felt, vibrating in the bones, sending invisible shivers down their spines. Secret love became a sharp, piercing note, like a violin on fire. dangerous passion filled every empty space, while stories of impossible love set the tone for tension. It was as if the universe conspired to keep the rhythm alive. She remembered a moment when she almost touched him, and in that moment, the music exploded within her. Forbidden love became a racing drum, and every second of hesitation seemed eternal. Love triangles created dissonance, mixing pain and pleasure on the same scale. Forbidden romance was a clandestine symphony, and vulnerability left her too exposed. But still, she couldn't pull herself away from the melody. The sound of her heart was no longer just hers, but theirs, like a joint composition. Alpha male romance transformed every breath into a deep, deep note, charged with desire. Dark romance made everything sound tragic, as if the ending were written. Stories of impossible love added suspense, building anticipation with every chord, and the audience could feel the beat quicken along with her. Then, just as the tension seemed unbearable, silence fell like a sharp blow. There was no more music, only the heavy emptiness of what might happen next. The love triangle had left an echo in the air, a reminder that dangerous passion never fades. And even when the sounds cease, the heart still screams for the forbidden. But the worst was yet to come. What should have been a refuge became a war zone. Every room in the house hid secrets. Every closed door felt like a silent warning. Forbidden love seeped into the walls, and forbidden romance made everything unstable. Dangerous passion burned in every stolen glance, while the love triangle created invisible traps. It was like living on top of a minefield about to explode. The kitchen, once a place of routine, was now a stage of tension. An accidental touch of hands as she picked up the glass, and her heart nearly leapt into her throat. Alpha male romance challenged her in silence, as if every gesture were calculated. Stories of impossible love transformed the environment into a prison and in temptation at the same time. Her vulnerability became evident in every detail. In the hallways, the weight of secrecy suffocated her. Dark romance transformed every shadow into a threat, every noise into the possibility of discovery. Secret love vibrated in the air, making it impossible to relax. Dangerous passion increased her adrenaline, as if danger were part of the pleasure. And the audience felt their hearts race along with them, imagining being seen at any moment. Even the house's moonlit garden seemed to be plotting against her. Forbidden love hid in the bushes, in the whispers muffled by the wind. The love triangle transformed every step into a calculated risk, every breath into a veiled confession. Forbidden romance had never felt so present, so physical. It was like walking on hot coals with no possible escape. She knew that every shared space was a game of survival. Alpha male romance watched her intensely, like a predator waiting for the right moment. Stories of impossible love showed her there was no turning back. Her heart had already crossed the line. Vulnerability left her fragile, but desire gave her unexpected strength. And the house became a labyrinth of temptations and risks. Then, an unexpected noise shattered the silence, chilling her blood. Someone was nearby, and her breath caught in her throat. Forbidden love was not just temptation, it was imminent danger. Forbidden romance had left too many traces, and the love triangle was about to be discovered.
Her heart was torn between what was right and what was irresistible. Forbidden love pulsed like sweet poison, corroding reason with every passing moment. Forbidden romance had become not just desire, but an emotional prison with no escape. Dangerous passion burned silently, while the love triangle demanded an impossible decision. The audience felt the weight of her breath, suspended between two worlds. Her husband represented security, a life built on routine. But his brother was the flame, the exposed vulnerability, the risk that gave meaning to the void. Alpha male romance manifested itself in the steadiness of his gaze, the intensity of his restrained touch. Dark romance transformed choice into imminent tragedy, and with each scene, her soul seemed to shatter. The secret love had already passed the point of no return. Each stolen memory was a razor's edge cutting through the present. Stories of impossible love gained strength, showing that there was no choice without pain. Forbidden romance forced her to face her reflection in the mirror, where she saw guilt and desire mingled. And yet, her body cried out for the forbidden. In the silence of the night, lying beside her husband, she felt her soul in conflict. Forbidden love infiltrated even her dreams, transforming rest into torment. Dangerous passion was a constant shadow, one that not even the darkness could hide. The love triangle crushed her, and each dawn became a battlefield. The audience breathed with her, feeling the same lump in their throats. The choice seemed inevitable, but either path meant loss. Alpha male romance drew her like a magnet, making her want to surrender to what she couldn't have. Vulnerability paralyzed her, but also connected her to the deepest truth. Dark romance painted the future gray without promising a happy ending. Fate seemed to toy with her, laughing at her pain. And then, before the mirror, she murmured a phrase that sounded like a sentence. There was no going back, no forgiveness, only the certainty that someone would be destroyed. Forbidden romance had already consumed more than it could handle. The love triangle now demanded blood, tears, and renunciation. But which of the two hearts would she break first? When everything seemed to have reached its limit, silence became a weapon. Forbidden love was no longer just a secret, but an open wound about to be exposed. Forbidden romance echoed in the exchanged glances, like a scream trapped in the throat. Dangerous passion vibrated in the air, suffocating, making it impossible to ignore the inevitable. The love triangle was on the verge of explosion. Her husband was growing suspicious, and every simple gesture took on a deadly weight. Dark romance was etched in her expressions, a mixture of love and suspicion. Stories of impossible love showed that nothing would remain hidden for long. Secret love was already leaving traces like footprints in quicksand, and the audience felt the tension approaching, increasingly suffocating. In the middle of the night, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Alpha male romance throbbed on the other side of the door, bringing back memories of everything that burned in silence. Vulnerability left her trembling, unsure if it was desire or fear. Forbidden love became a living shadow, impossible to extinguish, and her heart beat louder than any sound. The garden, witness to stolen whispers, now seemed like a judgment stage. Dangerous passion still shined in her eyes even when it should have been extinguished. The love triangle transformed every corner into a threat, every breath into a risk. Forbidden romance burned into the skin like an invisible brand. The audience watched in suspense, waiting for the final blow. The weight of choice became unbearable. Dark romance painted the future as tragedy, and the past no longer offered refuge. Stories of impossible love showed that there was no clean way out. Alpha male romance still held her captive, making her body betray her reason. And vulnerability left her surrendered to the inevitable without the strength to resist. Then the door suddenly opened, revealing eyes filled with fury and pain. Forbidden love was about to be destroyed, forbidden romance about to be revealed. The love triangle now demanded a price in blood and tears. Dangerous passion could no longer be hidden, and the audience, shocked, could only ask, who will survive impossible love?